Super Bowl Sunday is just around the corner, and I want to share one of my favorite dishes with you for the big game. Mike's Kickin Chicken Quesadillas. It's all touchdowns, baby. No field goals, and certainly no picks. This is something you can make for your kids. You can have it on Super Bowl Sunday, or even just on a Tuesday night. Stay tuned, I'm gonna throw a touchdown. Boom. We're starting off on the 20-yard line. First possession, first step of the process, toasting up our tortillas. There are a lot of different ways to make quesadillas. This is my way of making them. I found it to be the simplest and also the most delicious, something you can do at home. So we've preheated our pan on about medium heat, so it's got some heat to it. I'm going to use some non-GMO canola oil. Little drizzle in the pan. You always want that oil to kind of shimmer when it goes in. You can see that there. We're just going to coat the pan like this and then put our tortilla right in. You're going to hear that sizzle right away. That's what you want. I actually use my hand a little bit because I'm going to get a little spatula of safeties first. All you're going to do now is toast this. And all you're trying to really do here is get a little color on one side because eventually we're going to bake this in the oven. So once we've got some color on this, we're going to take it off. We'll do it with the next one. And then from there, we'll be making our quesadillas lickety-split. So you've already got, I'll show you how this looks. We've already got some beautiful color on that. That's all we need. That'll go there. Our next one can go right into the same pan. No need to waste. I usually like to give it a little spin, play around with it a little bit, you know. You should always have fun when you're cooking. You should never be tense. You know, you don't want to be like a crotchety guy. You want to have a good time when you're doing it, or girl. So this will only need about 2 minutes. And once we've got some color on it, we'll take it off, move on to our next step, which will be the chicken. Chicken is like the midpoint, the 50-yard line. Pull that off, little color, on the plate it goes. Step one is complete. We've toasted our quesadillas, and now we're on to the next step, searing up our chicken. I like to do this because it gives some nice color to the chicken, little texture when you're putting it inside that quesadilla. We're using the same pan we did before. We kept it on medium-high heat. I'm just going to drizzle my chicken with a little bit of that same canola oil. Give it a quick toss with the tongs so it's all coated nicely. This is a little trick I always do. Instead of putting the oil in the pan, you put it on the chicken. You actually use less oil that way. It makes this dish a little healthier. You can also always modify this dish if you want to make it gluten-free. You can use siete wraps. It can be dairy-free. It can be vegetarian. Got our chicken nicely coated. Now we're going to arrange it in the pan. That's the sound you want to hear. That means you're going to get a good sear. It's also very important when you're doing this, when you're searing anything really, you want to space it out. If you put them too close together, they're going to steam instead of sear, and that's not going to give you the color that you want. I'm going to sneak that guy right in there. Okay. Now, when you're searing things, the most important rule is this. Let it stay. Don't play around with this. Don't mess around with them. Don't move them too much. While that's there, it's going to get a nice sear, and that'll actually allow the meat to release from the pan, which is going to let it get that perfect brown color and also not stick. We're only going to cook these for about a minute, minute and a half per side because they're pretty thin. I just took a regular boneless chicken breast from Snowdance Farm, one of the small farms we work with, sliced it lengthwise into slices, and just did what you saw just now. So these guys are probably close. They probably need another second. See how they're not releasing yet? That means they need a little more time to sear. You can make this dish with chicken. You can make it with beef. You can make it with just veggies. It really is versatile. The whole point is just to make sure all your ingredients are organized and you get that nice toast on that tortilla there. These guys now are ready. You see they're going to come right off and you're going to get nice. See that nice color on there? A little flip. That's what you want, that golden brown color. These even, to be honest with you, I probably could have waited another second on them, but they're going inside the quesadilla. No one's going to see them anyways. So you can play around with it if you need to. But these are going to be perfect. So same thing. Let them sit one more second. Cook through. Then we're going to remove them. The next trick, which is important, is this. The peppers and onions are going to go into that same pan the chicken was in. Don't clean the pan. Do nothing to it. All those little brown bits, it's called souk in French. It means flavor, basically. So when you put those onions and peppers in there, we deglaze that pan with some broth, which I'll show you. All that flavor gets concentrated into the peppers and onions. Going to really heighten the flavor of this dish. So this chicken will cook for another minute or so, and we'll remove it. Quesadillas to me are one of those quintessential Super Bowl treats. You can dress it up as a main. You can cut into small slices as an app. Kids love them. In fact, we'll show you in a minute the assembly line kind of process for putting it together before it goes in the oven, which is something interactive and fun you can do really with the whole family. So this chicken now is good. It's not cooked fully through, but that's not important for this because it's going to finish in the oven where it will. So we're going to take it off now, and we're going to put it on our plate. This guy maybe I'll just flip for a second just so it gets a little color on that side. And these guys are going to come right off. And I'll show you all these little brown goodies that are in here, because that's the best stuff. That's the good stuff. So if you see all this, all that there, that is flavor. That's something you never want to lose. So what I'm actually going to do right now is we'll jump right into it. I'm going to add a little bit more oil, not too much, just a little, because we're going to have our veggies going in here. I've got my pan on medium-high. You know, it doesn't need to be screaming hot for this, but you want the veggies to get some color as well. Our onions, we just sliced up one onion. That's going to go in the pan. And then one red bell pepper, same, in the pan. Give it a little shake, and then a little salt and pepper again. And this is where we use our secret ingredient. This is Primal Palate barbecue rub. It is a killer rub. I mean, barbecue is almost a misnomer. It's more like a seasoned salt. I use it on everything. Roasted chicken, on potatoes, really good in a quesadilla. This is where we'll give that a little bit of seasoning. You know, I don't like seasoning the chicken ahead of time because when you're going to sear it, if you have any other spices in there, if you've got, you know, thyme or parsley, it can burn in the pan. So this is a way to get more flavor into the dish without it having something that's burned. And now we're just going to grab our wooden spoon, like so. We're going to start mixing this around. Your objective here is two things. One, you want to cook the veggies down a little bit so they're tender in the quesadilla. And number two, you want to deglaze this pan, which we're going to do momentarily. You want these guys to get a little bit of color. I always like shake it. You can flip it if you want to be creative. You want a little, lost an onion. You want a little flair when you're cooking. It's cooking's supposed to be fun, especially for something like the Super Bowl. This is not a high leverage event. This is not Thanksgiving where we showed you how to carve a turkey. This is meant to be fun. And it should be fun. And it will be fun. So these veggies have a bit of color on them now. And now we're going to deglaze the pan. So I like to turn my heat up to high. And you'll see there's still some brown bits there. What I'm going to do is add my stock in a moment, which is from Nitnoy Provisions in Norwalk. I use their broth for everything. It's magical. And I'm going to deglaze the pan. The little brown bits that are stuck, you're going to hear this noise in a second. Beautiful. So now what's going to happen is this. We're going to take our wooden spoon. I always use a wooden spoon. That's the Italian grandma in me. And I'm going to deglaze this pan. So we're going to scrape all those little brown bits off of the pan. And I'm going to leave this on high. And what's going to happen here is you'll see it's very liquidy right now because I added the broth. And we're going to reduce that. So we're going to cook that all the way down until this becomes kind of pretty much, you know, like sauteed veggies. But when you reduce something, which is what we're doing now, and we'll let that cook off, when you reduce something, what you're doing is you're concentrating flavor. So all that liquid that went in, which was maybe a cup of broth, let's say, when it cooks down to, let's say, no liquid, whatever flavor was in that liquid has now reduced and now is concentrated and heightened all the flavor. That combined with the chicken that was cooking in there, you're going to get a much better flavor. This is a trick that I would always recommend people do because it lets you be a better cook without having to do really anything different. So this is going to reduce like so. And you'll see it's starting to a bit. This is going to take a minute or two. And once it reduces down, we'll remove it. In fact, I'll put it right back in one of my little bowls here. And then we're going to move over to the assembly line. What I've done is I preheated my oven to 350. And that's the temperature I like to finish this at. It's only going to be in there for about 10 minutes. But that lets it kind of cook evenly without drying out the tortillas. So you'll see this is really starting to, you know, reduce down. And this is really a special dish. This year feels like, you know, a lot of us are cooking for Super Bowl. Certainly we will be. It'll just probably be my wife and my kids and I. But cooking to me is always an expression of love. And it's something that you can share with people that you care about. I grew up with a mom that cooked. I grew up with a grandmother that cooked for me all the time. And I've always felt that you put your emotions into your food. So when you're cooking, it's nice to try and be in a positive state of mind. Nice to be happy. Even if it's a chance just to zone out and focus on something for a little while. Cooking can be work, but it's also an opportunity to engage in something that takes your mind off other things. That's why I love it so much. With everything going on in my life, it's a chance to kind of focus in on one thing because I got a lot going on, kids and business and all that. So this is getting close. I'm actually going to add one more shot of my rub here. This is another trick, is to layer ingredients. So you don't want to just put all the spice in the beginning, right? And certainly not all at the end, because then it's going to taste, you know, salty, let's say, as opposed to salted. So I like to layer my spices in throughout the process. Salt and pepper in the beginning, little spice in the middle, a little more towards the end, and then as this cooks down, as you'll see, this is going to become, you can see a little bit even of the spices in there floating around in the liquid. You'll see now, by the way, see this is tightening up a good amount. And you also want to always keep scraping. Keep scraping the pan because all those little bits in there, those little guys you don't want to leave behind. Those are the ones that are going to have the flavor. And you know, I'd love if you guys could share with us some of your favorite Super Bowl recipes or even things you make on the big day. You can feel free to share them on our Instagram at Mike's Organic. We'd love to see what you're cooking. Hopefully it's quesadillas. I highly recommend them. But if not, maybe there's something else that's been passed down, you know, through your family, or that you have some special recipe you like to make for your kids. And we'd love to know what you're cooking. This is looking good. So now we're going to take this, we're going to put it back into the original bowl we had our pepper in. That's another little thing I like to do. I reuse bowls a lot in my kitchen, not if there's raw meat in it, but if I had raw pepper in it, let's say, instead of washing another bowl and having to do that, I put it right back in. You know, I like to try and keep a clean house as much as possible because I'm the one that usually makes it dirty. I'm going to kill our heat there. These guys are going to go right into here. Perfect. All right, we're closing on a touchdown. So we've sauteed our peppers and cooked them down with the onions. They're all ready to go. Toasted our tortillas, seared our chicken, cooked our veggies. This is the assembly line. We're driving for a touchdown. This is the place where if you want to bring the kids in off the bench and let them help out in this process, it's always a nice thing to do. This is where it gets fun. We're going to layer our ingredients on the tortillas, and then it's going to go in the oven where we'll finish it. I like to start off with the chicken. This allows you, when you start off with it, to give it some good spacing. You want every bite of that quesadilla to have some chicken in it. Because what's a bite of a quesadilla without the chicken? Unless you're vegetarian, in which case you don't eat chicken. Now we're going to take our peppers and onions. We've reduced them nicely. Spread them over the top. You want to move everything kind of towards the edge, but not all the way because it's going to kind of cook and spread out. That looks absolutely perfect. Now this is some shredded organic cheddar. I like to use cheddar. You can use pepper jack, you can use Monterey, you can use really anything you like. To me, this is kind of the, you know, prototypical quesadilla here. Gonna get that all settled. And then our other toasted one goes on top. This is now going to go into the oven, 350 degrees, 10 minutes, and it's gonna finish off. We'll take it out and we'll slice it up. We're gonna score touchdowns any minute. Our quesadilla is out of the oven and we are at the 5-yard line. We are about to score. I'm going to cut this up, put it on the plate and dress it up. Now, I like to cut my quesadilla into 4 big pieces because I like big pieces of quesadilla, but you can also cut it into smaller pieces if you like. We're going to dress it up with some Strauss sour cream. A little shot of late July salsa. I went with the medium salsa, but you can go with mild for the kids. And a little sprinkle of cilantro. And what we did for you guys is we bundled all these up. So you can get everything you need to make this dish on the website. They'll be available for pre-order before the game. The sour cream, the salsa, the tortillas, the chicken, the cheese, all that. This is ready to go. And I'm going to give it a shot, see how she turned out. Ooh, it's cheesy and touchdown.